Hi, this is Charla Bennett, Education Consultant with Steelcase Education Solutions. Thank you for joining me for this brief tutorial on the features and functions and how to use the Fuse Digital Visualizer. This is part one in a three-part series, and for the first section we will be covering some of the basic benefits and why an instructor would want to use the Fuse Digital Visualizer as an instructional tool. The Fuse Digital Visualizer is a multifunctional tool. What that means is it has three purposes in one device. So it has three different functions. It is a sleek and compact tool, and you'll be able to use it for all sorts of digital discovery and interactions with your students. It can be used as a document camera, a web camera, and also as a scanner. You will be able to get a crystal clear image from the high definition camera that is built into the Fuse device. Some different ways that you might consider using the Fuse Digital Visualizer in your classroom would be to, for example, capture student projects and make those into digitized files. Consider connecting with other classrooms, either across the country or around the globe, for a distance learning initiative. One of my favorite ways to use a web camera is to bring an expert into your classroom so students can actually interview either an author or someone who is a subject matter expert, ask them questions, and get real-time responses and live feedback from that expert. Another way that you could utilize the Fuse Digital Visualizer is to annotate over live demonstrations. So you'll be able to capture any paper documents or resources that you use in your classroom and annotate on top of those. Another way that you can use the Fuse Digital Visualizer is to scan in assignments and projects. So you no longer have to go to a scanner to capture a paper document and transmit it or change it into a digital format. You can do that with the Fuse camera. When we designed the Fuse Digital Visualizer, we took the needs and the priorities of instructors into consideration. They told us that they wanted something that was aesthetically pleasing and lightweight, that it had easy grip inserts around the camera, and a scratch-resistant lens. You have large buttons. There's 8 buttons on the top of the Fuse Digital Visualizer that will allow you to have different functions of the camera. We'll be covering those functions and what the buttons do in part 2 of the tutorial on Fuse. So just keep in mind that it's a multifunctional tool, that its user interface and the design of the camera is based on teacher input. We wanted to give them what they are what they consider the most valuable tools in a digital visualizer, and that you'll get a crystal clear image with a 3.2 megapixel camera. So when you pick up and move the Fuse Digital Visualizer around your desk or around your classroom, one of the benefits is that you can be up and running again with a high definition image within seconds. So it'll take no time at all to really be able to adapt and modify the way that you use it in your classroom. Let's talk about the core components of the camera or of the digital visualizer itself. It's got a very flexible arm that you can use to adjust and capture different images or web camera inputs from around your classroom. It's got a very small base, so it won't take up very much room on your desk or on the area that is adjacent to your computer. It's really easy to align a document so that you get a nice clear image of what you're trying to capture. The camera head has an easy grip edging around it so that you're able to utilize that in your classroom. The glass lens is going to give you a much longer life and reduce the likelihood of aberrations versus a plastic lens, which you'll find in a lot of digital and document cameras that are in the market. So the glass lens is definitely a benefit. The Fuse digital visualizer gets its power and also connects to your computer through a single USB cord. So you're not going to need to have an AC power attached to the Fuse. It just gets its power through the USB cord. And the optimal user interface just basically means that we've created simple buttons so that you'll be able to use it without a whole lot of training. The buttons make sense when you see what the pictures are, which we'll be talking about in part 2 of this series. Some other things to consider. The surface is antimicrobial, so all of the plastic surfaces that either the teacher or the students will be touching are antimicrobial, so they won't collect germs. Also, it has anti-static features. That's going to benefit a class that's dry or has reduced humidity in the air. The device won't pick up the static electricity, and you won't have to worry about the electrical circuitry becoming fried in any way. The first button that we'll talk about is the basic function button and how to turn your Fuse digital visualizer on. There's 3 different ways to turn on the device. The first would be to push this button. You'll look on the camera and actually physically located on the top of the camera, push that button to power on the device. The second way is to turn it on using the Eno driver commands. Let me just show you where those are located. I'm using a Windows 7 machine, so they're down in the lower right hand corner in the icon tray. I'm just going to go to turn Fuse on. My camera is currently turned on, so that's why it says turn Fuse off. So if I didn't have it turned on, it would say turn Fuse off. And the third option for turning on the Fuse is to utilize the icon strip, the magnetic icon strip that was delivered with the Fuse digital visualizer, and you would use the top icon to power on the digital visualizer. So you would just touch this with your Eno stylus and it would power on the camera. So that's a basic introduction to the features and functionalities. We will cover more of the button features and how to use the camera in part 2 of the Fuse tutorial. Thanks for your time, and I hope that this was helpful.